Hello students, we are going to discuss Class 8 Chapter 1, which is Crop Production and Management. This chapter discussion will give you idea about not only the how the crop is well produced, also after production of the crop, how its management should be done so that it can be used for longer period of the time in a safer manner. Firstly, in this chapter, we will discuss about agricultural practices, which means steps involved during the production and management of crops. And the following flowchart is describing the different such steps of agricultural practices by which you will get an idea about the complete process of crop production is done, including what all steps. The very first step of the whole process is preparation of soil. The next to it is sowing of seeds. After this, we have to add manure to the soil. Either in place of manure, we can use fertilizers also. The next step is irrigation. The next to it will be protecting from seeds. After that, the mature crop has to be harvested, which the process is mentioned here as harvesting. And finally, its proper storage has to be done. This is how do we, this is how we uh, completely complete the process of crop production and its management. Preparation of soil is very important step of crop production. The soil is well prepared before we start cropping, then yield of the crop definitely will be ensured good quality. Some of the key points related to preparation of the soil are this process mainly includes loosening and turning of soil, and this process is actually known as tilling or plowing. The next point you can note down, it promotes growth of earthworms and microbes which are good for fertility of soil because they are adding humus to the soil. Humus is the most fertile top layer of the soil. You are aware of it. The next point includes the process helps in bringing nutrient-rich soil to the top layer for further use by plants. Sometimes manure is also added to the soil before tilling to improve quality of the soil. Now for this purpose of preparation of soil, some common tools which are well known are plow, which is an ancient tool, hoe, it is slightly modern, and nowadays basically cultivators are used. For plow or hoe, we need animal help, whereas cultivators we can be running with the help of tractor. Let's have a look over the tools which we have mentioned in the previous slide. This is plow. Actually, this is the plow. Now it has been shown how it is run by the bullocks. The main parts of the plow are plowshare, plow shaft, and the plowshare is a triangular kind of the structure. This is hoe. Its bent plate is the main part which will be helping in either tilling or uprooting of the weeds. And this is either made up of iron or wood. Even it is run by the animals. Now one more tool we have mentioned, this was cultivator, and which can be run with the use of tractor. There are the tools which are important for preparation of soil. The next step of agricultural practices is sowing of seeds. The key points can be noted down as the very first and important task in this process is the selection of good seeds. And for this, we have to be knowledgeable that good seeds are always heavier than the damaged seeds. So if you soak the seeds in water, the good seeds will be always at the bottom and damaged seeds will be floating up. Now for this purpose, we earlier the traditional tool was used, and this tool was a funnel-like structure through which the seeds are poured, and through a pipe-like structure, they are allowed to move down and fall over the place where the seeds are to be sown. But modern tool is seed drill, which is not only good for sowing of the seeds, but there are some more benefits. You can look after the points. Seeds are sown uniformly at proper distance and proper depth, which is very important, and it ensures availability of sunlight, nutrient, and water in a right manner. The second benefit you can note down, it covers the seeds by soil after sowing so that no attack by the pest or any other external factor. It also saves time and labor, and it helps in weeding, that is, helps in uprooting of the weeds. So these are some key points related to uh, the use of the seed drills. Now just have a look over a very common and basic topic which you are aware from your junior class knowledge also, type of crops. Crops are generally of two types. One is known as kharif crops, which are grown in rainy season, and the other one is known as rabi crops, which is actually grown in winter season. Corresponding examples are also mentioned. Kharif crops are including paddy, maize, soyabean, cotton. On the other hand, rabi includes wheat, gram, pea, mustard. This is just a basic idea about the two type of the crops. Now let's have a look over the use of traditional tool and modern tool for sowing purpose. This is the traditional tool, funnel-like structure. Then through the pipe the seeds are allowed to come down, and then at the proper place the sowing has to be done. This is the new method using seed drill. At the proper distance the seeds are sown and properly covered by the soil. That's why nowadays we are mainly using seed drill only. Here in this slide we will discuss about adding manure and fertilizer to the soil. This is one of the most important steps in the production of crop, which ensures the quality of the crop and the proper quantity of the yield. Let's have a look over the important points. For healthy growth of plants, manure and fertilizers are added to the soil. And basically, after adding fertilizers or manure, the soil is provided with the nutrients. Next point you can have a look. By adding manure to the field, soil is replenished with nutrients which the soil may be losing because of the continuous cropping. And this is required as soil lacks some, just now we have discussed this, soil lacks some nutrients due to continuous growing of crops. Fertilizers are chemical substances. You have to note down this, which is very rich in particular some nutrient, and they are used to get better yield of the crop. By adding fertilizers, the high yield can be ensured. One more method is included here, that is known as crop rotation. And this crop rotation means you can grow uh, one after the other the different type of crops alternatively, which helps in replenishment of nutrient to the soil. You can note down here also we are mentioning about replenishing the soil with the nutrients. Now let's have a quick comparison between the fertilizers and manure. Manure is organic substance, whereas fertilizer is inorganic substance, or you can even say chemical substance. Manure can be prepared in field. Fertilizers are prepared in factory. Manure provides humus, but fertilizers doesn't provide any humus. It is very rich in nutrient, but manure are less rich in nutrient. There are some advantages of manure as compared to the fertilizers. It increases water holding capacity, increases microbes in soil, and improves the texture of the soil, and definitely the quality of this product, the crop, will be very, very good. So this was how we understand the comparison between the manure and fertilizers. After preparation of the soil and adding manure to the soil in an adequate amount, the next important step is irrigation. The meaning of irrigation is process of supplying water to crops at different intervals. Now, how much water and at what interval the water should be supplied, it depends on some factors which are crop, soil, and season. Depending on these factors, you have to decide about the time and frequency. Some key points are here noted down as, let's have a look. In summer season, the frequency of irrigation has to be increased because the rate of evaporation of water will be high, and the different sources what we are using for irrigation are here mentioned: well, tube well, pond, lake, rivers, dams, canals. Now, the methods of irrigation. We discuss in two categories. The first is traditional method, which includes the use of pulley system, chain pump, dhekali, and rahat, which is based on lever system. Now, have a look over the important one fact. We use pump for lifting water at a certain height, and for this purpose the different sources of energy what we use are diesel, biogas, electricity, or solar energy. Now, modern method for irrigation are of two types: sprinkler system and drip system. Let's have a look over what are the basic points related to these methods. Sprinkler system, as the name is slightly making it clear, the method does what? It sprinkles the water. Now, some key points are, let's have a look. It is useful for uneven land. Then structure wise, if we discuss, there are some perpendicular pipes which are with rotating nozzles which are connected to the main pipeline for sprinkling of water. It is useful for basically sandy soil. Have a look over drip system fact points. It is best technique to water fruit plants, garden plants, etc. Also, water falls drop by drop exactly at the position of root. No wastage of water, and it's boon for the region which have some water scarcity problem. So these both methods are modern methods of irrigation. In the next slide, we will have a look over how the system works. This slide is giving you a view of all the traditional methods of irrigation. This is moat, this is chain pump, use of dhekli, and based on liver system, the rahat. These were used earlier at uh, a large scale. Nowadays also in some villages still these methods are well in. Current slide is giving you a view of modern methods of irrigation which we have mentioned in the description. This is giving an idea about how sprinkler system works. These are, you can see, these are the perpendicular pipes attached to the main pipeline, and these are the rotating nozzles with the help of which the water is sprinkled as if it's raining. The another method which we have mentioned is drip system. The water is supplied exactly at the position of root. There is no wastage of the water. Both the systems are boon for the places where there is scarcity of water. Children, you must have observed sometimes some plants appearing along with the crops. They are weeds. Some key points related to weeds are undesirable plants which grow with the regular crop. Then how to remove weeds? Weeding is the process of removal of weeds, and this can be done by either tilling or by manual removal using khurpi or using seed drill or using weedicide. These are the either ways we can remove the weeds in effective manner. Why is weeding necessary? Weeding is necessary because they compete with regular crops for water, nutrient, space, and sunlight, and it affects the growth of the crop. Sometimes the weed may be interfering with the crop during harvesting, and it may be poisonous for the animals and the human beings. Always care must be taken while spraying the weedicides because they are very much harmful chemicals. The next step of agricultural practice is harvesting. By harvesting, we mean cutting of the mature crop. This is known as harvesting. Now let's see some important points related to it. Harvesting is either done manually or manually using sickle, or it is done using a machine which is known as harvester. In the harvested crop, the grains can be separated from chaff, and this method is known as threshing. Threshing can be done with the help of machine which is called as combine. Sometimes farmers may do the separation of grain using winnowing method also. Very interestingly, we must know that in India there are many harvesting festivals like Pongal, Baisakhi, Holi, Diwali, Bihu, etc. This was about harvesting. In the previous slide, we had talked about spraying of weedicides carefully. You can see how the person is closing the nose and from a distance he is spraying the weedicides. And this diagram gives you an idea about the device or machine combined which is used for harvesting purpose. So These are some important machines. Storage of the ready grain is one of the most challenging steps of crop production or agricultural practices. This is because of the fact that even if a very good yield and good quality crop is produced, if it is not stored carefully and in a required manner before distribution of the crop, then the 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 purpose of the crop production and management is not satisfied. Let's see what are the main areas we need to look after. Proper storage of grain is necessary so that it can be protected from pests and microorganisms. The second important fact is freshly harvested crop contains quite amount of moisture, and if without drying this is stored, it may get spoiled due to attack of the microorganisms. For small scale storage of the grains, it can be done in jute bags or metallic beans, but for the large scale purpose of storage, we have to use silos and granaries. At home level, for the storage of the grains, we can use the dried neem leaves. For storing large quantity of grains, chemical treatment is a must process. The final topic of this chapter will now be slightly deviated till the time we have been talking about crop production, and which finally results into one of our food content like grains and cereals and pulses. But now we are going to discuss about how do we get food from animals. We know that there are different kinds of food what we get from animals like fish, milk, meat, etc. And for this purpose, the animals are reared at either at home or in farms with proper supply of food, shelter is provided, and care is required. And this complete process is known as animal husbandry. This was all about how do we get food from either plants or animals. This is giving a look of the way how large scale storage of the grain is done. The first picture is of silos and the second picture is of granaries. And this way the proper management of the crop is done before it goes for public use. This slides gives a briefing of different areas of discussion of the chapter um, in a bullet point manner. You can note down, firstly learn these points, then note down them, and can then answer the questions based on the chapter in an effective manner. Also, it gives a better understanding of the chapter in a simplified manner. Thank you, children.